Celebrating.
Oh my God.
Happy birthday to all those babies that are going to get to live now.
But their moms don't
Seriously.
want them.
Who cares what those bitches want?
Man. Oh, I got some stories and some information for you guys today.
Oh, man. I can't wait.
I know you can't get the tea. Yeah. But can I just say that off the bat, this is another example of women fighting for the wrong thing. Like trans in sports is like, yo, you should be worried about the fact that, you know, men aren't getting married, you know, you don't have support, you're making bad decisions, you have trauma and all these other things. Like you have bad economies that don't, you know, allow you to have a child and be support it. Like that's what you should be focusing, not on let me rip these limbs out of me. Like that's what you should focus on, making sure men are able to support a family. Like a lot of guys can't even afford it. Like we don't talk about that. You know, it's just crazy. It's crazy.
First of all, if we really want to get into the whole biological aspect of everything, semen comes from a man. Without a man, you can't even get pregnant. So it's like it literally, you know, there's no eradicating the man in all this. To simply say that a man has no right or no say in what you do, especially if you're laying up with the guy, then that's absolutely false. But it gives women a sense, if we can call them that, of empowerment to believe that, though. To believe that nobody has a say-so in anything they do except for them. And I don't know, this is like a sickening kind of mind state I feel like to have. It kind of trickles down into the victimhood, which I want to get into in a minute.
Yeah, you know, it's a very selfish way to look at things. And there is pretty much nothing else in life that somebody would so easily just wash away 50% of something. Are you going to give up 50% of your business? You want to give up 50% of your paycheck? If so, I can give you my P.O. box. Nobody's going to do that shit with anything else. So to say that about something so important like life, that is so selfish and that is so willfully ignorant. You know damn good and well, without a man's contribution, we have nothing to talk about.
Yeah.
You wouldn't be here with your stupid homemade sign and your pussy hat if there wasn't a man involved. So let's not discount that. It's like when people, for example, Barack Obama, he was the first black president. Obama was half black. How are you going to just cut his mom out of this? That's half of who he is. No. 50%, that's a lot. We're not talking 1%. We're not talking Elizabeth Warren numbers here. We're talking 50%. That's half. That's a lot. When you go half on something, that's a lot. So to just discount the man and take him out of the picture, my body, my choice, that's bullshit. That's selfish. That's childish. And it's interchangeable, because when it comes to you putting some experimental shit in my body, it's no longer my body, my choice. But when it comes to abortion, then all of a sudden, okay, now it's back to your body. All the children need to sit down in the room.
No, they really are bloodthirsty. These women, and I'm like, these people are like exorcism level, like possessed. Like, they really like they literally scream like banshees in the street about this. And it's sad because, again, why would you be so fighting for the ability to do something so terrible to yourself when you should be fighting for all the other factors that would cause you to even consider having to do this because of, you know, whatever monetary things. And honestly, a lot of these women are out here, you know, doing it with, I know somebody who was doing it with a dude they know was going to jail for like 8 years, and then they got, and then they had, it's like, maybe that's one at it a little better. I honestly, you know, like, so it's sad and it's really unfortunate, you know, and maybe this will make them more paranoid. Yeah, every time you have sex, you could have a baby. Like, I've been paranoid my whole entire life. Like, my whole entire life. My family is full of single moms. You know, luckily my mom, she didn't do, you know, she got married and, you know, everything, but no, The example set, especially in the Black community, is not very good. And it's sad that we would have like 50% more Black people on this in America
Yep.
if we didn't have this, which is crazy to me. Is crazy. Can you imagine what life would be like if we had that?
People, there's a certain sect of Black people who always complain about not being represented, not seeing representation in whether it be politics, academia, entertainment, or whatever. You can't attain that representation when your numbers are so low. We just got knocked back down to 12% of the population. We were hanging around 13 for a while. Now we're back down to 12. So you can't see that representation. The reason you see white folks everywhere is because white folks are 70% of the population. You can't help it. They're not going to hide. So if we had those 20 million plus babies who have been murdered since Roe v. Wade, like you were saying, imagine that. Imagine how many more good Black people we would have on this planet, in this country, to combat the niggas that seem to get all of the attention and all of the limelight, and they shape our culture and all that bullshit. Imagine if we had more regular Huxtable-like Black folks on this planet.
We
How
need
that
more people
representation.
twerking on cop cars, Jericho. Stop.
Say again?
We need more people twerking on cop cars. Okay, that's us. That's our culture.
Yeah, that's the kind of representation we have now. We get our numbers up, then you get better representation. You can have these positions of power. You can have these homes and nice neighborhoods and all of these things they talk about the white man took away from us. And something that just baffles me, it boggles my mind, how women can be so loose, for lack of a better word, with something so valuable. A woman's body, especially from the waist down, that's, the promised land for men. How they can be so free with it, how you just handing it out. But that comes back to your dad in the home instilling self-esteem, self-confidence, self-worth. But to be so free with something and just give it to anybody, and not just anybody, the bad boys, the ones you said, like going to jail, about to do a 8-year stretch, treat you like shit. Why you always give it to these clowns? And after you're all used up, after you're all Jenny and Forrest Gump, you already got AIDS, now you want to come back and give it to the nice guy. Terrible.
Yeah, it's sad. It's sad.
You guys touched on a lot of good points that I'm eventually going to get into. One, like Layla, you were talking about how a lot of these people seem possessed. One factor I think some people are missing on this is what's going on with organizations like the Satanic Temple and how they're so pro-abortion, along with obviously the Democrat Party and how they've been pushing this for forever. We're going to get into all of that, but also just to go back on what Jericho was talking about, a lot of like the representation crap. I want to bring up this story because this happened like the other day. This happened like last week or Sunday, I believe. So I was talking to this female at my work, and she's Hispanic. That's an important factor. She's not white. So, that does play an important factor in all this. So she was so emotional and offended that I wasn't a victim. Like, she got so offended that I've never experienced racism. I've never been called anything racist, nothing like that. I've never used the color of my skin or my ethnicity as a reason to not be able to succeed. Nothing. She was like flabbergasted by this. Like, you're black, like, so I'm supposed to be treated a certain way. I'm supposed to think a certain way. I'm supposed to act a certain way. I'm supposed to speak a certain way. And it's like, that's not everybody's reality. I didn't grow up in the hood. I wasn't around gang members. I don't talk like that. I don't act like that. And so because of all that, I'm not experiencing what a black person should experience, apparently, according to her. And I'm like, for you to think that white people are this, like, they have this monopoly on racism. The most racism I've ever experienced is probably right now talking to you.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
For you to think that I have to be a certain way or act a certain way or else I'm not experiencing what everyone else is experiencing is bullshit. So my brother is darker than me. He's never experienced any of that. So the reality is that not every black person has the same experience that the TV or the media is pushing out there saying that we're experiencing. I don't walk out of my house thinking, oh, the cops are going to kill me or I'm hunted by white people with fucking, you know, flamethrowers. And like, bro, this is not our reality. And so she was like so offended that I wasn't telling her what she wanted to hear, because that really disrupts the whole narrative. And I was just like, yo, like, you were okay until you started opening your mouth about like stupid shit. And we were talking about the abortion stuff because and pretty much everything she talks about sounds like the TV to me. Like, she literally sounds like she just regurgitates what the TV says. And she doesn't really feel this way. It's just like she's being told to feel this way. So she's like, well, you know, if we had sex, like, you know, she doesn't want to be able to keep the baby or whatever, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, look, I'm on your side. I want you to be able to choose what you want to do with your body. That's fine. Everybody chooses what they do with their body every day, from the food you put in your mouth to whatever you're drinking. If you're smoking, if you're doing this, you're always making choices with your body. Nobody can tell you what to do. What she didn't understand is that I was talking politically. I said, overturning Roe v. Wade is what you want to do to have the sovereignty of choosing what you do with your body. These people don't understand that. They think that, well, I don't even know if they think, but whatever the TV is telling them, this is what they're going off of. So the TV is telling you, oh, this is a blow to women's rights. It's like, dude, have you read anything that's even in Roe v. Wade at all? If you read it, it literally tells you federalizing abortion policy, which means that a foreign government, that is the Fed, that does not operate, it operates separately from the United States government, has control over your abortion rights. And if you pay attention to anything that these Democrats and Joe Biden and them are doing, they're trying to federalize everything. They're trying to federalize the police. They're trying to federalize the elections. They're trying to they did federalize the abortion policy under Roe v. Wade. And we're going to get into the real woman, Norma McCorvey, and her background and facts behind her, because these people don't even know. They probably think her name is Jane Roe. Mm-hmm. This is how stupid these people are. So I'm like, yo, I really don't have hope in a lot of people, because these aren't people that you can have conversations with. It doesn't matter if you have facts. Like, my father is a federal officer up north, close to you, actually, Jericho. And I talked to him yesterday because I was just like, you know, I haven't talked to him in a while. Let me call him. And I asked him, because I was just like, I want to hear it from you. What is the difference between state and federal? And he said exactly this. He said, as a federal officer, he has certain jurisdiction in certain places that go over the state. So therefore, there's the state level and then there's federal level. So if he's going to prosecute, or they're going to prosecute somebody, or they're going to get people for crimes, you can get them for federal crimes because you have that jurisdiction, or state, depending on. So it gives you more power. So if that is a basic understanding that we have, is that at that level, it gives you more power to do more things. If something is federalized, that means that that gives that government more power to do more things. So you don't really have a say-so when it comes to your body if they told you you can only have one child, like China does. Communist China. You don't have a say-so. So these people don't understand this shit. And it's so like disheartening to see that humanity is being held back because of the stupidity of whether it's few or a majority of people that just don't get it, don't want to get it. They never will get it. And this is a lot of young people and older people, because I had a conversation with my grandfather yesterday, and he is just he's vote blue no matter who. I said, Grandpa, I said, do you really think 80 million people voted for Joe Biden? And he was like, well, I did. And I was like, of course you did. I'm like, you don't leave the house. You don't know what the real world is. So I'm like, do you really believe this? And he's like, he basically said yes. And I was like, if you could be 81 years old and be stuck in the same mindset that you were when you were probably 20, what hope do a lot of these people have to break out of this manipulation and this brainwashing? I don't know. I really don't. I just encourage people to, if you are awake at this point, worry about yourself because you're on this journey alone. These people that want to kill babies so bad, they're going to do it. They're going to find a way to do it. We see this.
I just wanted to say, yeah, I'm going to jump off and then come back in like an hour, but let's just start off from the very tippy top, and I'll be the conspiracy person, but they need these bodies, okay? They need these bodies for their rituals. The Satanic Temple is not fake. They do a whole bunch of stuff with these bodies. They do a whole bunch of stuff with these children that they traffic, with these people these traffic. So let's not pretend this is just, oh, random. They just want women to be free to do what? To go to work? No. They want the bodies. So that's the unfortunate part. And then the second part is this is population control, plain and simple. So all of these agendas, everything in our society, and this is how you can pick up what's propaganda, what's not propaganda. What is the end agenda that it's supporting? Like, that's all you need to, there's only a few agendas. There's population control, and a lot of things fall under that. There's just the general enslavement. A lot of things fall under that. So, yeah. But you know what? The other thing, too, before I hand this to Jericho, is luckily a lot of these people got nuked. And they took the juice. So they're not going to have to worry about reproduction. So, I mean, they used to be fertile, and now their uteruses are filled with grapefruit-sized cysts. So it is what it is.
I'm going to break down some facts for everybody behind Jane Roe / Norma McCorvey, and then, yeah, and then we'll start to head out.
All right. First of all, what's up, Blanche? How you doing, man? Good to see you in here. First of all, 7% of the adult population believes that chocolate milk comes from brown cows. So that lets you know what we're dealing with right off the bat. And
oh, God.
Going back to what you said in the beginning, GION, why does the black experience have to be fucked up? Why is that our experience? Why does the black, like, you're not black unless you come from trauma, death, drugs, violence, broken homes. That's the black experience. If that's the black experience, I don't want it. That experience sounds horrible. Imagine if just because you were born black, even if you were born in a good neighborhood to a good family and all that stuff, they forced you to go through that black experience. That would be terrifying. Nobody deserves to live like that, but that's not the black experience. That's the ghetto experience. That's the hood experience. That's the niggas experience. That's not black folks. Black folks don't do that. Black folks look at them like the savages they are. Black folks look at them like the rest of society looks at them. And those kind of people come in different shades. I live in an area, Yuba County is number 2 in America for stolen cars. Who steals cars? Meth addicts. I see poor white people all day. If I had $1 for every one that I saw. I grew up around poor Mexican neighborhoods. But that mentality, that's not a colors experience. That's a ghetto experience. That's your mentality that makes you grow up like that. Because I know if I was in that situation, I'm doing what I can to stack my chips and get the fuck out of there because those people are being held hostage. But at my last job, we had something called the list. And every time somebody mistook me for another black employee and called them by my name or said some stupid outlandish shit like that, we put them on the list. Now we know how to treat you and how seriously to take what comes out of your mouth because you've proven yourself to be an idiot. And it's even more disheartening, like you said, GION, but when it comes from somebody older than you, you're supposed to know better. I'm supposed to come to you for some wisdom, for some knowledge. I'm supposed to sit at your feet and be educated. And it turns out I'm more on point than you are. I got my shit together more than you. It's terrible, man. But, you know, it's sometimes when you realize people are like that, you got to do what we used to say back in the 90s is shake busters. You got to get rid of them. You can't help them. They can't come along. They can't keep up. They're not prepared. It's like a child trying to keep up with an adult. My legs are longer. I'm moving faster. You can't. These people are hopeless. You got AOC and Maxine Waters out there. Maxine Waters is old as shit. And she's out there talking like that? Does she really believe that? Or does she get behind closed doors and just laugh? Because for her to be that age and out there talking about to hell with the Supreme Court and you haven't seen nothing yet and they're going to be out in droves and black women by the millions. What are you talking about? You're supposed to know better than that. And AOC, she's young, but you're an elected official. What's wrong with you? You're not supposed to be coming down like this on either side. Obviously, this is what the bulk of the American people want. So either stay quiet or back them because we're your employee. In the private sector, you don't go up in your boss's office and start telling them what they're going to do, how they're going to feel, how they're going to run shit. Not if you want to keep working there. But somehow we've given them the illusion, well, maybe not an illusion, but we've made them believe that they can. They can say wild, stupid-ass shit like that. But this is a victory, man. And who could be against this? How can you be for Roe v. Wade and for people of color? How can you do that? Because abortion is way ahead for deaths of people of color. Way ahead. I know we do our thing in homicide, but abortion? That's the all-stars. That's the all-star league right there. So how out of one side of your crooked, lying mouth can you say, I'm an ally, people of color, black out your little Instagram shit, and, BLM, and then be for abortion, which has killed more black people than they can imagine. I don't get it.
Facts. And in that conversation I had with this girl too, she was like, she asked, well, are you pro-life or pro-choice? I said, I'm pro-God, period. And that trumps all. And she's like, well, I thought you said you weren't religious. I'm like, I'm not religious, but that's common sense. Anything that goes against God is wrong. Anything that goes against nature is wrong. And do you think that God designed it, or the creator or creation designed it for babies to be snuffed out of the womb? Like that's no, that goes against it. And so then, she's like, well, it would make sense to be like pro-choice. It's like you are pro-choice because you have a choice. That's natural. You have a choice to do it or not. Whether it's right or wrong is between you and God, which is why I say pro-God. I'm like, that's something that you're going to have to live with if you're going to do that. But I don't have a problem with you making a choice. Go ahead. But that's not something I got to live with. That's something you have to live with. Blanche, I'll let you go ahead, and then I'll get into some of these facts.
So I saw Maxine Muddy Waters, and she had a wig on today. She had the James Brown arrested wig. It was double, but yeah, I'm gonna just say this. To me, this is about the moral decay of society, and it shows that the more leverage women have gotten, the worse society is going to be. I don't want to sound sexist, but if you think about it, the women's caveat is having children. With that ability to have children, they're going to fight to be able to murder the babies. Like think about it. That's women's biggest fight now is abortion. Abortion. That's their biggest fight. If you think about the transgenders, they're looking at women like, well, you know what? We can be them too. So it's crazy to me that women have put themselves in a position where these men feel like they can be women, and then when they have the right to give life, they want to abort the right to give life. So it's almost like this whole movement and push for women's rights to me was BS from the jump, because my grandmother would have never considered abortion. Like she would have never considered aborting her child. My grandfather would have never considered being a woman. So I'm not saying it's all on the women. I'm just saying this push for women's rights is taking us to a place because they're just going to use the women to do it. So when I see Maxine Waters, who's 100 years old, I see AOC, who's probably 30-something years old, I see all the women in my community, all the ones chiming in, they're all saying they're pro this, pro abortion, whatever. I looked at the numbers, and our women are 6% of the population, 6%. But they account for 38 to 40% of abortions. So if you think about it, think about how insane that is at 6% of the population, almost approaching half of the abortion numbers. So last year, I looked at the numbers in 2020 or 2 years ago, 2020, there were 700, maybe 30,000 abortions in the U.S. alone, 730, and it went up. It went up 2019, and I imagine it's going to go up now because now they're going to have abortions as a form of protest. So they're going to just get pregnant on purpose just to have an abortion, just to make a statement, just to get everybody riled up. So now it's going to actually increase the number of abortions. And like you said, GION, they don't understand that if the federal government can tell you to get an abortion, then it can also tell you when and where to have a child. If you can have a child, like what China did. China went from saying we need one child because we're overpopulated to then finding out if you had another child, they were just literally going to the women and just snatching the baby out of the womb, or they were going and snatching the babies and taking them to the orphanage and making money out. Like, it just got bad. But I'm still going back to, it just seems like the more rights they're talking about for women to have, it seems like it's ending up in death. Like, it's ending up in women's rights. Okay, I can have sex with who I want to. If I get pregnant, leave it up to the government to decide what happens. To me, it's just insane. So my thoughts on this whole thing are, and let me finish it up. The men got to a point where we stopped being vocal. We stopped standing up. We stopped getting in the way. You know, we stopped taking a stand. And then from that point on, once that happened, then the floodgates opened up. And now we're in a situation where, what are we going to do? Because like you said, your grandfather is even with this stuff. Like, what are we going to do? Like, if the old folks are with it and the young folks are with it, and we're like what are we going to do? Like, behind us is bad, but in front of us is bad. It's just us stuck in the middle. So I don't know. I just think that it's really a character issue to me. And worst case scenario for a woman, just don't have sex then. If you cannot not get pregnant with all these forms of contraception, like you got like 17 of them, if none of those 17 work, then maybe you shouldn't be having sex. Like, maybe you shouldn't be having, like I'm saying, if a person was, I don't know, was blind, maybe they shouldn't play basketball. I'm just, so if you can't have sex and not get pregnant, then maybe you shouldn't be having sex. This is my suggestion.
Yeah, I'm going to jump off of here, but I just wanted to say, you know, I agree with Blanche, and in that I've seen so far that most women do not know how to advocate for their best interests, unfortunately, you know, and it's really disappointing. So yeah, I don't think that we should go back to the point where we can't have bank accounts and we can't leave husbands who are abusing us and things like that. I'm not trying to go back to the color purple era, but I do want to say that
Really?
do not act their best interests. And that is proven fact so far, because they're literally giving men the right to be them. So I don't know. There's a very finite amount of men and resources in the world, and if you're gonna let a trans man take that spot, you're gonna be out in the cold hungry. So I don't even know. No, don't take my spot at the bed. But yeah, so we just definitely need to find a balance, and we need real men's leadership, because yeah, without that, these men devolved and they're being used. You know, they're being used by other men who have nefarious purposes. So, you know, the vulnerable get used. But thanks for letting me join the conversation, and I'll definitely check out this recap because I want to hear the history lesson. See you guys.
All right.
We saw the muzzling of black men which allow this stuff to happen. I think that's what happens when you have too many women surrounding these men when they're boys in charge. You women everywhere you look, your mom, your grandma, your sisters, you're just marinated in estrogen. And so when you have these women in your life telling you how to think and how to feel, okay, so now you're grown, you move out in the world. Well, take your mom's face off of that woman and put your girlfriend's face or your wife's face on it now. Now she's just going to pick up where they left off, telling you how to think, telling you how to feel, and you're going to be submissive to them because these have been the only authority figures in your life. That's why you got these fools holding court out in the street. You got these fools with male abilities, but a female mentality. And females are more emotional. Good thing men aren't, because we have the ability to do damage with our emotions. And real men aren't emotional like that. They're in touch with their emotions. I'm not one of those men shouldn't cry type shit, but not be over emotional, not shoot somebody because of a very minor level of what you perceive as disrespect or whatever. That's just unthinkable to kill somebody over something ridiculous like an object or the way they looked at you or some shit. That's real. To take somebody's life for that to take another life is huge, and somebody really has to earn that. But to just do it for something just frivolous is crazy. But I think when you're surrounded by that and that's all you know and that's been the authority in your life, that's just going to carry on in your adult life. Yeah, I think it's first of all, shout out to my man Oliver Mack. What up, man? I think there's a very vindictive, vengeful nature about it, because that's why they're targeting kids. They're not trying to fix it. They're trying to get their revenge through these kids. And in that dystopian future that Blanchard just mentioned, trailing behind them will be all the men of society like Gimps from Pulp Fiction. That's what they want. They want us to be subjugated. They want to get their revenge. They want to treat us like the man in their life that didn't accept them or did this to them. They're all about revenge. And I'm wondering why us as black folk, even more so black men, why we jump at the chance to partake in this Ku Klux Klans alphabet soup group bullshit. The first openly gay, black, blah, 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 speaker of the, White House press secretary. The first black, openly trans football cheerleader. The first black, openly gay football player. Why is it always us? Why are we breaking our necks to be these guinea pigs for this weird shit? Why? Why would you get in line for that? That's weird and gross, but they're always trotting us out there to take, you know, the preliminary blows for whatever they're trying to introduce. It's just like, you ever seen that movie, the South Park movie, Bigger and Uncut? They got a scene in there where it's Operation Get Behind Darky, where they got all the black soldiers in front to take all the bullets and missiles, and then the white soldiers come in to play cleanup. That's the same shit. They tell us, hey, come here. Come out here on this weird-ass stage, do this weird-ass shit, but we love you. We care about you, people of color. We're allies. Yes, we love you. But get your ass out there and take these preliminary shots. And once we work out all the kinks and you take all the mental damage, then we'll come in behind you when the road has already been paved. That shit blows my mind. I don't get it. This shit is weird. Now, if these people were doing this on October 31st, hey, man, that's a good costume. I might vote for you for costume of the night. You win the costume contest. But on November 1st, that shit is weird. Why do us as a society, mainly the people, the blue check marks, the government, entertainment, why are they fighting so hard against something we know to be true? What do they want? And I believe, ultimately, it's unfettered access to children. That's the ultimate kink. That's the ultimate taboo. And when you're having, 3 ways, 4 nights a week, shit kind of gets boring. What's next? These sexual adventure seekers. I think that's what they want, ultimately.
Woo!
Agreed.
Jericho, spitting facts. Hey, shout out to Jericho Green. Happy birthday, my brother.
Oh, happy birthday.
Appreciate you and everything you do.
That's right.
Happy birthday.
Celebrate.
Yeah, but man, 100% right. I couldn't agree more. I guess it really bothers me that you see the black community and they're pretty much falling for this hook, line, and sinker. Because I remember growing up black, and a lot of the black people that I was around, especially the black males, like we didn't tolerate that gay stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like if you had anybody in your circle who was kind of feminine, they were always called out, right? We have this phrase in the black community. I don't know if we still use it, but it's like if you say something that's kind of gay, it's like you say no homo or something like that. So there's a lot of that. Huh? Or pause, yeah. No homo or pause. It's like, yeah, a lot of that stuff, like we're not for that. But for some reason you see a lot of black people and they're just jumping on board with this, with the homosexuality, with the trans stuff. And a lot of the people that you see that's actually participating in this stuff are black because, a lot of us are weak-minded. I would have to admit this. A lot of us are weak-minded and we fall for this stuff so easy. It's so easy to manipulate us. It's so easy to get us stuck on the Democrat plantation because all they have to do is play on our emotions and then we'll just automatically jump on board with a lot of this, you know, trans stuff that we're seeing. Like, they're basically trying to say, yes, these are the new black people, right? These are the most oppressed people on the oppression totem pole, and we have been kind of swooped down to the bottom. And I just don't understand, like, why we are pretty much just rooting for our own demise, because this trans stuff and this gay stuff is not going to lead to anything good for the black community. I mean, you look at it, like, we need fathers in the home. We need males that are more masculine. We don't need a lot of this feminine energy in the black community, because it's really destroying us right now. So the more that we're rooting for and more that we're jumping on board with the LGBTQ community, the less masculine men we're going to have, the less fathers are going to be in the home. So it's just going to make things worse.
Well, hey, real quick, GION, to everybody in the comments telling me happy birthday. It's not my birthday. I'm celebrating for all the babies that won't be aborted now.
Oh, gotcha.
Their happy birthday. It's a party.
Yes, sir.
Hell yeah.
Yes, sir.
Hey,
You know,
hold on. What you said was spot on, and I've been saying the LGBTQ community is going to take over black culture. So, like, all of the who and the black whatever, it's going to be that community. And basically, anytime we cry, we got to cry to them. And then they'll determine whether or not our grievances could be heard by I guess, the overseers, Biden and them, Biden and Kamala.
Oh.
Yeah, you see people like, you know, Saucy Santana and all these homosexual male rappers that are getting so much press and getting so much publicity right now. This dude almost got 1 million followers, and all he does is go on stage and twerk and show his butt. Like, come on, dude. Like, who is supporting this person? Like, I just cannot believe that. And this is because, you know, I hate to say this, but it's true that the black community is not led by black men. It's led by black women. So if you have these people that are led by black women, that's why all this stuff is getting in. That's why we're supporting it. So we got black women who are supporting it. The majority of the black women are supporting it. And the black men, if they choose to speak out about it, then they get called out by the black women. So a lot of men really don't say anything, unfortunately. And, you know, because it's just dumb. Like, why will we be supporting something that we've never supported in the past? All this stuff that we're supporting right now, we've never supported in the past. The media and Democrats have convinced black people to support something that we would have never supported 20 years ago.
Never. You know, somebody just, or you just pinned that comment. I just wrote that shit down. Tyga and YG.
oh, Blanche went off on that shit. I saw your video. That was good.
Bro, what the fuck? I think I got it from Blanchard. What the fuck was that? Bruh. Like, if they weren't filming a movie, that is some of the weirdest shit I've ever seen in my life. You're two gangster rappers. You're supposed to be hard. Not getting hard. You're supposed to be hard. You're supposed to be a gangster. You're supposed to be somebody to fear. I don't fear nobody looking like that. What the fuck was that? They have children. And that's another thing. When these fools have babies, when Rihanna got pregnant, some other dumbass just announced they're having a baby. Or Big Sean and somebody.
Oh, yeah.
They're not, like, it's cool to not be married before you have a baby. What is this shit? They're showing Rihanna with her stomach out. Not only was that disgusting, yeah, be proud you're pregnant, but draw the fucking line somewhere. But
dude, I talked about that as well, because I remember
to be proud, to be proud to not be married. Like, what are you doing? You're not supposed to put the cart before the horse. But that Tyga and YG shit.
Y'all remember Brandy, the singer Brandy, Ray J's sister?
Yeah.
So yeah, you remember back in the day. So she pretended like she was married. So she got pregnant and pretended like she was married. She put on a show, and everybody thought she was married because, you know, she didn't want to come out and say, "Oh, I'm having a baby out of wedlock," because that could have destroyed her career back then. But now it's praised, unfortunately.
They're announcing these pregnancies like there's nothing wrong with it. Like, oh, cool. Like, when they would do that, I'm like, why is everybody's in the comments? Yes, queen. Yeah. Oh, black love king, all this bullshit. No, you need to be married before you start having these damn babies. There's nothing cool about that. I actually feel sorry for that baby, because not only are you going to add on the added fucked upness that is put on your life when you come from a broken home, which it is when your parents aren't married. But now you're going to throw in all that celebrity stuff and all the drama that comes with that, on top of the fact that this kid's not going to have their dad in the home, and then they're not going to be around, and all the bad things that come with that. That shit's horrible. But nobody was saying that. It was, yes, this is cool, this is great, oh my God, you're a beautiful couple. That shit is disgusting. You are intentionally going to put that kid in a situation of child abuse. Because if you knowingly and purposely have your child born to a home of two people who aren't married, that's exactly what you're doing. Look at the math. 70% of incarcerated people come from homes that did not have married parents.
Yep.
And that shit's cool now. That shit is cool.
Yep. They're just perpetuating. We just live in this vicious cycle in the Black community. So you have a lot of these parents, maybe our generation, Jericho, that you know, they had babies out of wedlock. So when their child had a baby out of wedlock, well, I can't be disappointed in her because I did the same thing. Yes, you can, because your child is supposed to be better than you. But unfortunately, we have these grandmas. They throw in these big elaborate baby showers for their single mother children, and it's like there's no man in sight. I get so tired of seeing these celebrities or Instagram models that are posting pictures talking about I'm pregnant, but they have never posted a picture of the man that got them pregnant. So you know it's just some fling, some one night stand, and now they're so proud of this pregnancy. I'm like, no, that child is going to be raised without a father. That child is going to be raised in a messed up situation, and you made a huge mistake by not protecting yourself, by letting this dude just bust up in you raw, and you probably barely know him.
That's what it was.
Yep.
Then the audacity to, when you meet her, she wants you to raise her child. That's the audacity. Like, she wants you.
The entitlement, like the entitlement to that, though. It's like, yes, I'm coming. Like you, I'm glad I'm not single today. I'm married, happily married. But the entitlement to these women, it's like, yeah, I'm walking around with a baby or two babies or three babies. And it's like, yeah, every man that I meet is supposed to accept that. And if they have a problem with that, they're a simp or they're gay or whatever. And it's like, no, that's a problem. That should be a problem for anybody. Why should I have to raise somebody else's kids if I don't have any myself?
Yeah, that's not being a simp. That's not being gay. It's because you're a whore. That's why. Because you were loose with one of the most valuable things on this planet. You were loose with it. You were free with it. You're a whore. That's why. And you can have all the baby showers you want. And, ooh, when we bust a balloon, is it going to be pink? Is it going to be blue inside? All that bullshit. But when you come home and that first night, that baby's up every 3 hours and you have no help, how are you going to feel about that baby? Are you gonna like that baby? You might not even love that baby. Some women in the perfect scenario don't necessarily have those feelings right away with their baby because it's stressful. Your hormones out of whack. All this shit postpartum. But you're gonna handle this shit on your own? How are you gonna feel about that kid? Then multiply it by 2, 3, 4. How are you gonna be acting with these kids? We all know these mean single mom bitches that talk to their kids all crazy, talk about their dad in front of them. We all know chicks like that. That shit is horrible. How do you think that makes those kids feel, to fear their mother? All these, like the mom from Precious. You're not supposed to feel that from your mother, and that's another reason, on top of on the long list of reasons you need two parents, but you need a break. You need to be able to hand that kid off. You get up this time, I get up next time, I do the diaper. You need help. That's the hardest job you'll ever have, is raising a baby. That thing is up. It don't care what kind of night you have. It don't care what kind of sleep it had the night before. And you're going to do that shit on your own? Man, that shit is crazy. Every woman in this country, every man in this country in high school, in your senior year, you need to take one of them damn baby robots home for the weekend. You need a taste of that shit. You need help.
Yep. But we got enablers that usually live in a home. So you know that the mom's mother is probably there too. So she's the one that's helping her with this. So you got an enabler there. So she understands she made the same mistake. Well, actually, she don't think she made a mistake. She think there was nothing wrong with that. But she did the same thing when she was younger. So now she got this kid that's doing what she did, and now she feels like, okay, now I got to help her raise this child. So a lot of times these women don't even get to experience what it's like raising a child on their own because they got mommy there that's going to pick up the slack.
Listen, when I was in school many years ago, many years ago, you would have a baby, and the project was you raise that baby with a spouse, basically. So if you had the little child project, it would be you and another young lady from your class, and y'all had to take care of this baby together. So even in school, they taught co-parenting with the parent, with the baby, taking shifts and all that stuff. So to me, this still boils down to women's empowerment, because women feel like I can sleep with who I want to sleep with. If I get pregnant, oh well. Like, so
Yep.
they have too much leverage, and it's just too much leverage. If Rihanna, think about it, we're celebrating Lizzo, Cardi B, Meg Thee Stallion, used to be Amber, the slut walk. Like, look at the women that we're celebrating. So I'm just trying to, like, it's not going to get any better, because everything in society supports what these women are doing. Everything, literally supports it. So we come around and say, keep your legs closed, but they're like, nah, forget that. I'll keep my legs wide open. I saw a comment, and then the young lady said, she said, tell your male friends that are hoes, ladies, you don't have to sleep with him. Like, I don't
Right.
I
say that all the time.
Listen, Future has 27 baby mamas. If he wants to sleep with you, just say no. Just say no, because obviously his sperm, his put-out game is super weak, and it's
trash.
potent. Don't sleep with him. Like, I just don't understand women that saying they can't not sleep with the guy. It's crazy.
Right, like the late great Kevin Samuel said. So men give access to marriage, and women give access to sex. So if women, like, you know, I tell my friends this all the time. If women decided today that they were going to up, like all women all over the world decided that they were going to up the caliber of men that they allowed to let sleep with them. If they said, I'm only going to sleep with somebody who's college educated, I'm not going to sleep with somebody who has like tattoos all over their face or whatever, I'm not going to sleep with any drug dealers, any gangsters, or anything like that. We've decided today we're going to cut all of them off. I guarantee you there will be no gangsters, no drug dealers left, because that's the number one thing that men want. So if females decide that they're going to deny access to certain men, then the behavior of men will change.
Yeah, women are in the position to choose, not us. It's us standing across the dance floor, the junior high dance, trying to get the courage to go ask them, not the other way around. Women are in the position to choose. So choose a better man. If that fool got 3 baby mamas already, why you got to be number 4, stupid? And then, like you were saying, Blanchard, how it's accepted on all levels. I remember when, remember when Cardi B sat down with Joe Biden after he got elected? What the fuck was that? That's who we send up there to the White House? Anyway, so when Megan Thee Stallion, which pisses me off because that's a male horse, but anyway, like Blanchard was saying, this shit is accepted on all levels. When Megan Thee Stallion came out with that song, did she make that song, that WAP song with Cardi B, Retardy B? When it came out, Megan Thee Stallion was on some kind of Zoom call with some other girl, some black girl, and Maxine Waters. And when Maxine Waters, when they brought her on and we're talking about the song, Maxine Waters, she was like, it's okay, because she knew Megan Thee Stallion was like, ugh. You know, I know this is a little risque, you know, from somebody with some old ears like Maxine. So she was expecting her to be like, girl, that's disgusting, and back in my day. But she didn't. She called it audacity. She said it was empowerment. So even from the highest levels, if you want to call it that, government or whatever, this shit is accepted. It's nurtured. It's expected. And it's disgusting. I would have been on her side. It's rare that I agree with her, but I would have been on her side if she gave that girl a tongue lashing, so to speak. But she didn't, because she had China firmly in her earpiece telling her, no. Tell him it's good. Tell him it's good. Tell him it's audacity and empowerment. It's empowerment to bend over and show your birth canal in a video? That's disgusting.
It wasn't in her, it wasn't an earpiece, it was in her wig. It's
Her wig is Bluetooth. She got a Bluetooth wig.
They just weave it. They just sew it into her wig. Oh my God! You guys ever see this movie called Return to Oz? It's like the Wizard of Oz on acid. And the witch in that movie, she has a room full of heads, and she puts on a different head like every day whenever she wants. And I picture Maxine Waters. It's called Return to Oz. It's a trip.
Who has the
Like
who puts the heads on? Dorothy?
the witch.
Oh,
the Wicked Witch of the West.
Okay.
She has these different heads she can put on. The heads talk when they're on the stands. But I imagine Maxine has a room with just wig upon wig with the 5G Bluetooth in it. That woman is disgusting. Oh my goodness. She was out there though, acting like a damn fool. I couldn't believe that.
And where did she get the energy though? Maxine Waters is 113 years old. How did she have the energy to go out into the streets and protest, man? Like, what kind of regiment?
She had to be done protesting before the wheel comes on at 6. Man, it's all the damn stem cell blood and shit. That's what was keeping her so upright. All them weird ceremonies and shit that they do. Man, that woman, that is just mind blowing. And how, again, in the private sector, this shit wouldn't fly. But how she got an F rating. I saw that the other day. How you can just be absolutely horrible at your job for decades. She's been in Congress since 1991. That's longer than some people watching this shit have been alive. And she's been horrible at it. So how do you stay in office? The people living in her district, living in that, who have been gentrified, who've been pushed out of their homes by this flood of illegals, the racism that she allows to fester in her district. I know racism is only bad to them if it comes from a white person, if it fits in their Rubik's Cube of give a shit, if the colors line up. But there's some racist Mexican folks down there against these black people. She don't care about that. 93% of the school-age children in her district cannot do math at grade level.
90.
Still in there. 93%? If you're at work and you don't get 93% of your work done, how long are you going to stay there? How long are you going to be there?
First day you going.
Bro, it is horrible. And she's supposed to be, remember she pulled over and told that cop, oh, I just want to make sure you're doing your job, because they had a black guy pulled over because she's for the people, by the people. But then she stands up there barely and says, to hell with the Supreme Court, because they threw RoeVWade back to the states.
That's crazy. Listen, I just want everybody to remember her saying, to hell with the Supreme Court when it comes to messing with these children. They're going to say the same things. They're going to say, to hell with the Supreme Court, to hell with the laws, we want the children. They're going to use the same rhetoric. Just letting everybody know, just get ready.
That's right. And before you get started, John, I just want to say one more time, Maxine Waters is old as fuck. That's it.
True story.
Fucking ancient.
Did you see when she was behind Nancy Pelosi? She was like a robot.
She looked like a Muppet. Man, what?
Oh my God.
That?
Somebody had the remote. They were like, this is the remote.
Bruh, somebody tell me right now, what the fuck was that? Why was she standing there not blinking? Just
not blinking, not moving, just like
Al Roker did that shit. You could go see a whole compilation of all these different people that just look like fucking straight zombies. Like they're just there, still faced. They look like robots, man. They look like Manchurian candidates. Like they're being controlled by somebody.
Right.
For sure. Yeah. For sure, man. I don't get it, man, but I expect more from my older generation. I expect them to set us straight. I expect them to make us hit reset, to put us back on course. And we can't even trust them. My goodness. Yeah. Fuck Maxine Waters. Oh, don't forget, California, Oregon, and Washington, they're starting what's called the California Offense. And they are going to become a coast-long abortion sanctuary. They said that they will, quote, fight like hell to fight against outside entities, law enforcement, government, vigilantes. She said Kate Brown, what's her name, Kate Brown or whatever, the governor of Oregon. Isn't that where they make Antifa? Well, she's talking about worrying about if vigilantes coming there. It's called the West Coast Offense. And they are going to make sure that they are the largest abortion sanctuary ever. Come on the West Coast if you want to kill your babies. They will make it easy for you. They're probably going to pay for flights, hotels. He was talking about that last year.
Yeah.
Paying for flights, hotel, travel. You think he's out there selling cakes to pay for that shit? You think he's out there doing car washes in his Daisy Dukes to pay for that shit? And you know he owns some. No. He's going to reach into my pocket, and he's going to reach into your pocket. You don't live in California, do you, Blanchard?
No, no.
Oh, you're good. He ain't reaching, but he's going to reach in our pocket and take our tax money to pay for women to come to California to get abortions. That's what's going to happen. He said that shit out. They cut a promo, all three of them. That shit is sick, man. You're judged on how you treat the elderly, animals, and children.
When I go into what I'm going to go to in here, people are going to hopefully understand what they do with aborted fetuses, the body parts, cells, all this stuff. Like, that's why I said the abortion shit is so much deeper than just, I want to have a child or I don't want to have a child. It's like all this shit has led to other stuff. And if you're not aware of it, then you're just going into the whole topic uninformed. You have to be informed to understand why they would even want to push this stuff. Because, for an example, if you have a business and you want your business to succeed and flourish, there's certain steps that you're going to have to take in order for that to happen. So if they have a goal or an agenda, and then there's going to be steps that they're going to have, they want to take in order for that agenda to be successful. So as we can start to see how Roe v. Wade was implemented, what was done to have it implemented, why they're losing their minds because it's being overturned and it's not a federalized policy, like then you start to actually see the smoke behind the screen, basically. Like, so yeah, I want to get into actually some of these facts, and I'm not sure if a lot of people had known this or not, but I saw some comments where people mentioned a couple of things that were kind of important. So I'm just going to go down the line. I'll break in a little bit of the Satanism stuff, and then we'll start to wrap up. So number one is Roe v. Wade. The woman's name is not Jane Roe. Her real name is Norma McCorvey. And she died in 2017, actually. She was 69. And she had said some stuff while she was on her deathbed that's going to be important. So I'll get into that, too, in a little bit. But basically, so she said that she was gang raped and she was impregnated. So she was desperate to get an abortion. And at this time, there were places that were illegal that you couldn't go and get an abortion at. So they wanted to implement this Roe v. Wade federalized policy to be able to supersede the state in general, which is why it's important to understand it's a federalized policy. So she went anonymous to hide her identity. So that's why she used the name Jane Roe. She didn't want to use her real name. She says out of her own mouth that she's done a lot of bad things, like she cheated people out of money, she sold drugs, she abused alcohol. She said, but her number one thing that she regrets is being the plaintiff in Roe v. Wade. So that's a big thing, because a lot of people who are for like the Roe v. Wade, which we already understand they don't know a lot of shit anyway, but let's just say they did know some stuff, that they don't even know that she actually eventually became against abortion. She was actually way on the other side with abortion. She was like, yeah, we are not, like, she's not for that at all. So her everything changed for her. And there's a lot that revolves around that because of the stuff that she found out eventually after it all got passed. Roe v. Wade was only passed due to lying about being raped. So it's a video that you can find on YouTube, on Rumble, any of these platforms. You could just type in Norma McCorvey, and there's a video there of a numerous amount of them. And she talks about how she lied about being raped. She basically lied about the whole thing just to get it passed. So that's how it was able to get passed. And so she confessed on her deathbed that she never really supported the anti-abortion movement, and it was all just an act to extort more money. She said that the word she was supposed to say in court, she just said because she was good at lying. And she became the linchpin figure for a movement that was so evil that hundreds of millions of innocent babies would be killed because of what she said. It's important also to understand what party has been pushing abortion. And of course, we all know that that's the Democrat Party. I mean, anything you can go back to in the beginning of time of the political parties, the Democrat Party has been behind the most evil shit that you could think of. They started the KKK. They were lynching and killing black people. They were against the black people who were in the Republican Party. They were killing them. The Democrat Party, and I think we talked about this. I don't remember if it was you, Jericho. I think it was with you, Jericho, not that long ago when we talked about how the Democrat Party, there never was a switch between the Republican Party and the Democrat Party. I don't know how that got out there, but these are the same people that they've always been. It's the same principles. It's the same policies. They want government control. Nothing's changed with them. And in control, abortion is a tactic that was used by Hitler. And we talked about this briefly with our Pale Horse video, Blanche. And it's been used by Hitler, Stalin. All these dictators and authoritarians have all used abortion as a tactic. So the ones who are pushing the most authoritarian shit, period, are the Democrat Party. So it's important to understand that, too. They've been using the federal dollars to prop up Planned Parenthood over time. So another key word to understand is the federal. Federal anything is basically against America. That's not a good thing. If you follow the money or the paper trail, then you start to come across a lot of more dark, sinister shit, basically. And so some of the people or businesses, organizations that profited off of the RoeVWade was Norma McCorvey herself, hospitals, medical professionals that were performing the procedures and all that stuff. They all benefited economically from this. So it is like a business too. That case, RoeVWade case, opened the door for black market organ harvesting. And that enabled the supply of organs, body parts, lung tissue, fetal cells were abstracted from living babies. And so there's been movies and stuff on this too, but I'm sure you can look up and find where babies have actually been taken. They've said that the babies died at birth, but they weren't. They were actually taken from the mother, and then they started doing whatever the hell they wanted, experiments and all that shit with the babies. So this opened a big door into some sinister shit that was technically legal, in a sense. Norma McCorvey has a daughter, I believe, that she adopted, Shelley Lynn Thornton. And if you look her up too, you can find some of the information there. So she blew the lid off the whole operation of the organ harvesting stuff. And it's not just like communist China whole aspect of everything. Our own government obviously has been doing this too. They've been involved. According to Judicial Watch, which is a good, they're good to follow because a lot of the stuff that they kind of go into, you won't see like news articles about it and all that. They like to hide a lot of that information. Judicial Watch said that our government has spent tens of thousands of taxpayer dollars to buy human fetal tissue. And you can actually see documents of this too. I've seen them before in the past. I believe it was a lot of when, like, I think the CV stuff was coming out. I came across some of those documents. Judicial Watch obtained hundreds of pages of documents directly from the Food and Drug Administration showing that the organization was buying fetuses from a California company called Advanced Bioscience Resources to humanize mice for testing. So this was another misuse of our taxpayer money to purchase organs from unborn babies. So they've been basically just been going ham with having this whole entire policy in place. Then you go to like the leak. So you go to the leak of when they were talking about RoeVWade possibly being overturned. What I saw that as a act of desperation. Like they probably knew that shit was coming and they wanted to leak it and cause this havoc and all this. But what you had to look at was who would benefit from this leak, or who would benefit from not just the leak, but like RoeVWade in general. And that kind of opened, I think, a lot of eyes as well. And they tried to keep abortion on the table federally, because once again, when we go over that, we talk about how that is foreign to us. That means that it's like if I put my wallet in Jericho's pocket, he decides what he wants to do with that. He can give it back or he can keep it. That's basically like federal. That's everything that Joe Biden is trying to do. So immediately I saw that Joe Biden went and had like a speech, and I didn't watch it because I didn't want to be brain dead. I have shit to do today. But he apparently was making a speech, and it was like, that was so immediate, talking about how this is attack on women's rights, blah, blah, blah. Same thing, Obama did it. All these people have done it. So anything that these people go against is normally a good thing. Anything that they're for is always a bad thing, is what we pretty much have noticed. So we've seen Democrats lose their mind because they no longer have control federally. And this goes to the states. So if someone wants to abort a child, it's not like they can't do it. You actually have more of a right now than you did before. It's just that now you have to vote on it, and your state decides what is going to happen in that regard. So the power is back in your hands. It's not in somebody else's hands that you gave the power to.
She never had an abortion.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's a good point, because, well, I mean, the daughter isn't hers technically. She pretty much became against abortion. You know, she regretted having her name to some degree or image attached to the RoeVWade policy, because she was actually against it. And she comes out and admits that. And there's a lot of people, I'm telling you, man, that they just don't know this information at all. There's some shit I didn't know either. You know what I mean? At that time, I wasn't alive in the 70s. But it's just important to understand before you go and you start running your mouth talking about women's rights. It's like, literally, if you look at the quotes and the things that Norma McCorvey said, like, and I posted this in the flyer too. It basically said, it's not your body, it's not your choice. That like belongs to God. God gave that to you, basically. I'm probably paraphrasing a little bit, but it's the same point. Like, is like, bro, everything that this woman kind of says goes against what they're saying now. And her name is technically, to a degree, an image is attached to this. So if the own woman you use the image for is against it, how does that make sense? What exactly are you trying to push? It's a fake, false narrative. Yeah. So, you know, some would say, like when Oliver was on here too, is the four, you know, you got four guys on here. It's like, we don't have a right talking about women and whatever and so forth. It's like, dude, look, 1 + 1 is not going to change whether I'm a man or a woman. That's never going to change. So to say that some people don't have a right, that's the dumbest shit. That's going to be like, well, you can't talk about sperm. You can't talk about, you know what I'm saying, testosterone. Like, what kind of shit is that? This is not an argument at all. When you present people with facts and then you get emotional, you're operating out of feelings, and facts don't give a shit about how you feel. And I have to consistently tell people this, because when I say I'm not even necessarily pro-Trump. I mean, I don't have a reason to be against Trump because he hasn't done anything I see that for me to be against. But if Trump does some shady shit, I'm not supporting it, obviously, because I only support truth. But we don't have enough people who are supporting truth, which is why people live in this delusion of a man can get pregnant and a woman can, like, what world do you live in where that is normal? I mean, I just saw What is a Woman the other day, and that movie almost infuriated me because I couldn't believe how stupid some people are. He literally goes around the world almost and asks the simple question of what is a woman, and these fucking idiots can't answer. You have these professors and these gender studies, and they're over here talking about, you know, oh, you know, it's subjective and it's this and it's that. It's like, how the fuck were you born? How are you even here right now? And my mom told me too that apparently, like, my dad didn't want, maybe at the time, another child. I was almost aborted. Like, you know, and there's probably a lot of people who literally exist right now who were almost aborted, or there was a potential that could have happened. But everybody who has the ability to even breathe air right now is here because Two people came together who were a male and a female, and voila, now you exist. And that is like basic shit. That's not something that should be controversial or debatable. And if you can't understand simple things like that, then now we're living in a society that is absolutely positively delusional, which is an agenda and a goal. And we cannot live in this delusion. I don't care if you are a man or a woman or whatever. You can talk about whatever you want to talk about. That's what freedom of speech is, number one. But make sure that when you are talking, that it's based in facts, which is what I just gave everybody when I went down these notes. These are all facts and stuff that you can look up yourself. And if you present this to a so-called liberal or somebody, then you're going to be, the reaction is going to be, you're wrong or whatever, because I feel this way. Because of what I feel, you're wrong. Mm-hmm. That's an issue. And that's why I say we just can't conversate with these people no more, man. It's important, I think, that we educate each other, obviously, and we present information. Like, for an example, I was talking to my brother earlier because I called him and I was like, so I'm pretty sure you heard by now, because my phone was bombarded with this news. And he said, he admitted, and I haven't had a chance to really look this up, but he said, while everybody basically is paying attention to this abortion bullshit, they're over here creating this one world currency behind pretty much closed doors. So we're arguing with stupid people about shit that they will never understand, while they are literally working on the next shit to get us closer to a new world order / one world government. And we're over here debating whether children should be born or not with stupid people who probably shouldn't even have kids to begin with, because you're just going to make more stupid people.
Yeah, we're over here. China is moving forward, growing their navy and all this shit, and we're arguing about some shit that was settled back at the beginning of time. Men can't have babies. Why is that even a thing? Okay, let's say you get pregnant, bruh. Where's the baby going to grow? Why are women's bones and hips different than ours? Why is that? If we can all have them, why is their physical being, why is their bone structure different than ours? Why are our skeletons not set up to have kids? Why is a man's skeletal frame bigger and more robust with more dense muscles? It's almost like we were built to do a certain job. We were built to go out in the world and make shit, build shit, fight, die, things of that nature. Women were made to nurture and grow life, not to create it. They're not creating it because they need us to do that. It's like having a restaurant. You're going to open up, you got the stainless steel, this and that, pots and pans, but no food. Nobody's delivered food. So all you got is a big, shiny, nice-looking kitchen with nothing to do in there until the food shows up. So yes, women, it's your body, your choice, until we put somebody else in there. If you live in the house with somebody else and somebody asks you, do you have roommates, you're not going to say no. You're going to say yes, you have roommates, because somebody else is living there with you. You have to acknowledge that. And to just remove men from it completely? Fine, if that's the case, if men can't talk about it because we're not women, then I want you to get every single one of those women off of ESPN. Because you ain't played in the NFL, you ain't played in the NBA, you ain't played no NCAA basketball, football, or anything else they're making billions of dollars off of. So shut up and get out of here. I don't want to hear you talking about nothing else. I don't want to see no female characters in action movies because you ain't whooping nobody's ass. You ain't a SEAL. I don't want to see it. That's ridiculous. In order to have a conversation and grow and learn and change, you have to establish some baselines. And if we can't agree on what a woman is, then we can't agree on shit. That is insane that somebody had to go out and make a movie called What is a Woman? And you got all these fucking idiots with all these acronyms behind their name, and they sound dumb as hell. What do you mean? No, it's not objective. We can't live our life in objectivity. There's gotta be some baselines. Who's protecting shit? Who's protecting who needs protecting? All right, you guys, women, children over here, men, we got this shit over here. They don't want equality. They want easy. They talk about this shit when it's convenient for them. All right, don't tell me this men can be women. And why is it always one-sided? Find me the woman who is going to transition into being a man and just tear the NBA apart. Find me the woman who's going to get on that track on the next Olympics and just blow them Jamaicans and Americans off the track. Find me the woman who's about to get out there on the NFL and crack some heads. It ain't happening. You know something that really solidified this for me? Look up the men's deadlift record and look up the women's deadlift record. The men warm up with the women's record. They can't lift any, that's the record. They can't lift any more pounds than that. The man will warm up with that shit. And our places in the world are fine. Why is there a problem with that? Women, you do you. Men, we do our thing. That's what makes it beautiful. We come together, you bring something to the table, I bring something to the table. We ain't going to show up with the same thing at the table. We got to bring different shit. 10 years ago, if you walked into work and said men can breastfeed, they'd probably ask you to leave. Now, you're some kind of fool or some kind of is or some kind of archaic dickhead because you don't think that a man can produce milk. I know you guys seen the video of that dude with the woman got the double mastectomy. She volunteered to have her titties taken away, and they had a baby. And the man, who is a transgender woman, is trying to breastfeed the baby and is blown away that the baby ain't latching on. Hey, if I stuck my hairy nipple in your mouth, would you want to latch on to that? No. Give me that smooth mama titty. But she can't because she threw her titties in the garbage. Why didn't somebody kick the door in, take that baby, and lock those two up for the rest of their life? This shit is sick. But that's why, it's like Layla was saying, they go after the kids. Or I'm sorry, not her, the lady that you had come in. They go after the kids because their minds are still malleable. They're still susceptible to fall for that bullshit. You don't see this stuff happening at colleges. You don't see drag queen story hour at a university because they're adults. But they go after the kids, and the only thing worse than one of those drag queens who wants to read to those kids or shake their dick in front of those kids at the bar are the parents who take their kids there to watch that shit. The drag queen thing at the bar with the sign, it ain't gonna lick itself. There was a black man sitting there holding his baby. Somebody should be in there.
Transformer.
Oh, it was either way. Whoever was holding that baby needs their ass whooped. That is disgusting. You
know what's more disgusting is the fact that they said it was a family friendly environment.
Yeah, drag the kid. No, as soon as the drag queen steps in, it's no longer a family friendly environment. There's something wrong with you. I don't want you dancing like that. I love women. I don't want a female dancing like that in front of my kids. I don't want one dancing in front of my son because he ain't old enough to see that shit. And I don't want one dancing in front of my daughter because I don't want her thinking, oh, that's what I need to do? That's how I get attention? No, that shit is poisonous. Kids have no place being around that kind of stuff. Any parent that would take their kids there, CPS should, remember, To Catch a Predator, the cops would be waiting outside. CPS should have been standing outside that bar. Give me your kid. Up, shut the fuck up. Give me your baby. Because you obviously don't know what to do with it. You got these kids in here watching some dude shake his helmet in front of your kid. You can see the outline. That's okay? That shit is gross. And if a bunch of dads took their kids in there, everybody would be calling for those deadbeat dads to have their kids taken away.
Yep.
Since it's a woman, it's fine. She knows best. No, she does not. Because if my wife came home, hey, where'd you guys go? Oh, I took them to the drag show. Hey, who's getting their shit thrown out of the front lawn? You're getting served with papers in 24 hours.
Drag them to the drag show. Drag the kid.
Take them to the ding-a-ling dancers. That shit is gross, man.
Layla, I'm curious, what did you catch any of the stuff, or did you just like hop back on?
I just hopped back on, but yeah, I mean, the whole drag thing, again, these people are not advocating for their best interests. Like, there was I know everybody saw the video with the person with the long boa of confetti or whatever, or the string, and it was a dude, and his wardrobe malfunctioned, and his whole thing fell out in front of those kids.
Come on.
Like, that is traumatizing. like,
That shit traumatized me.
whoa.
Shit.
Hell
And I'm an
yeah.
adult.
I'd be like,
I want to see that shit.
What happened?
no, so there was a drag king, like a drag queen, and he was a big black dude, and his little bikini like onesie broke, and his thing fell out, and he just kept on dancing.
I
And
just
the
want to
kids were like,
reiterate too,
the
real
kids
quick,
were
is
like,
that Layla said something that we should probably start using. She said drag king.
I know. I'm like,
That's gold. I like that. That's a good one.
That
The
is
drag
so
king.
nasty. But it's all about where it happens. You know, if that were in a bar and no kids were there, nobody would care. This wouldn't be a story. But that's not a place for the kids to be. Like the pride parades, that's a lie. Because you're not out there trying to educate people about the history of gay people in America. You're not trying to advance some agenda. You're not showing solidarity or some bullshit. It's a live action porno. A good friend of mine went to a pride parade in San Francisco one time, so you could imagine how fucked up that pride parade was.
Like,
I would not want to be an animal living in the sewer after pride parade in San Francisco. But he said there was a dude walking around with suspenders on, and the suspenders were attached to a kiddie pool. You know, the ones that are like this deep? And he was attached to a kiddie pool, and he was having dudes piss inside of it. So he had like 20, 30, 40 different dudes piss. He's walking around and sloshing around and shit. Where's the pride in that? Come on, man, all that frothy asparagus piss. That is disgusting. But this is pride. This is what you're talking about. This is why everything's rainbow colored. This is pride. That shit is gross. All right? Don't lie. You want sanctioned public pornography for a month. That's what you want. This is debauchery. What the fuck? Piss?
Hold
Right.
on.
If you're
So guys were walking up to him and literally pissing in the pool like they were doing
pissing in the pool, yeah, and you walking, that shit gets to sloshing and getting everywhere.
that was
Come on, dog.
He is born that way. Remember that.
Yeah, and what percentage of these men and women, but I say mostly men because that's who's getting the limelight. Well, I wonder what percentage of them had something happen to them.
Oh, huge.
Somebody touched them, or
99%.
Yes.
that's horrible for somebody to do somebody else. And you know what? I think harsher punishment would stop some of this. Because if you knew that you could have something bad happen to you, or you could be sent away forever to do hard labor, or I personally wish we would outsource our punishment. I wish we would send our criminals, or the ones who deserve it, to other countries that have a stomach for what they deserve. We don't have a stomach for that. We're westernized society. Our life is good. We don't like to do the blood and guts. But there are countries that will. There are countries that will gladly do that. We can make some kind of exchange. You take 1,000 of our shitty people. We'll take 10 of your, Harvard-bound, smart, good people. We'll take some of them. But these people need to know that they're going to be punished. And if there's less of this, maybe there'll be less of these Ku Klux trans members that are trying to fuck society up and trying to get access to your children. These people are vengeful. They're not trying to educate. They're not trying to assimilate. They're trying to act out some kind of petulant vengeance they have in their life. Something happened to them. Mommy and daddy didn't embrace them when they came out and told him. Or mommy and daddy didn't believe him when they told him Uncle so-and-so touched him. And that's fucked up. But if that punishment's there, maybe that'll keep Uncle so-and-so from doing that. I don't know. Something needs to be done because we cannot continue down this path. There ain't no way in the fucking world any parent worth half of their salt is going to allow something like this to happen to their kids, or allow their kids to experience story hour or these hush-hush mandatory pride weeks at these schools like the one in Texas. What the fuck is this?
Secret, too. They do it in secret. They don't tell. Like, I was watching a video and they had a story time at some library or something, and a bunch of dads showed up and were like, who brought the file here? Because it was a transformer. They were like, freaking out on them. And everyone all the women were buzzing around protecting this man, being like, oh, don't do that. It's like, like, don't say anything. It's really disgusting. It's really disgusting.
I saw there was something that happened in Sydney in 2017. There was a transformer. He had a bad Tinder date. Basically, he goes on a Tinder date, and the guy says that you look like a transgender. So he said, I don't want to date you. You look like a man. So the guy gets upset, goes home, gets an axe, walks into a 7-Eleven, and gets into it with a guy. Guy turns his head. He just hits him in the face with an axe. The lady that was there, he hit her in the back of the neck with the axe and he hit her in the stomach. Do you know this dude got 4.5 years? You want to know why? His lawyer argued that he was suffering from depression after having gender reassignment surgery, and that the drugs, and that the alcohol combined with the drugs that he was taking made him that way. So he literally did 4.5 years for almost chopping this dude's face in half and then hitting this lady in the back of the neck and in the and I guess chest or stomach. But my point is, they're positioning these people to be in the upper echelon of society, meaning that you're not going to be able to say anything to them. You're going to have to hire them. You're going to have to, they're going to get all of the great stuff of society and do the most egregious stuff. Because think about it. The guy got off because of post-traumatic eggplant chopping off surgery. So that was his excuse, and he got 4.5 years. Could you imagine what they would give you, Jericho and GION, if y'all walked into a 7-Eleven and hit somebody in the face with an axe, premeditated, just walking around looking for somebody to hack up like a serial killer? They would throw the book at you. This dude got 4.5 years.
Well, they would throw the book at you unless you were in California. Because in California, your felonies can be dropped down to misdemeanors. Misdemeanors can be missed altogether. I had lunch with a district attorney, and they were telling me all these things. So on the ballot, you'll see something that says, after school program for inner city youth. Oh man, who's not going to vote for that? But buried a couple paragraphs in there is some shit about sentencing. So you get sentenced, let's say you get sentenced to 10 years. Automatically that sentence is cut in half. So now you only got to do 5 years. But due to California law, you only have to do half of that 5 years in custody. 2.5 years in the pen, 2.5 years under supervised probation on the street. That last 2.5 years, you can live your life and check in with your parole officer. But your parole officer has 800 to 900 other people on their caseload. So how closely can you be monitored? How supervised is your probation or your parole when this fool got files to the roof? As we're walking out of the restaurant, he gets a text message from one of his investigators, and one of the guys who was out on this, this sentencing that they do, serving the last quarter of his sentence on the street, just got 21 new charges. And this person specializes in sex crimes against children. So that means this guy who was supposed to be under supervised probation just amassed 21 new victims. So on paper, they can get up there and say, what do you mean? We're tough on crime. We gave that guy 10 years. Damn, you guys are tough. But when you start looking into it, it ain't shit. He ended up doing 2.5 years. And then the other half, he's on the street molesting kids. That shit is sick, man. You would think he would get more time. And if he's in the right state, yes, he would. That dude should have got. But Australia, they're kind of lenient on crime. I don't think they even have a death penalty, which is ironic because they started as a prison colony. But that shit, people doing stuff like that and not getting those sentences, that sends a message, just like stiff punishment would, but it sends a different one. Oh, shit. I can say that I'm mad about some shit that I did to myself. I decided to origami my dick into some fake vagina. And then, it says on the pill bottle, don't take with alcohol, but I can ignore that shit, go out there and damn near chop some people up and get 4.5 years. And if you're a transgender, whatever, you're a dude that's into dudes, is getting sent to prison really that bad? Because if they said, Jericho, we're going to send you to 5 years in a woman's prison, I mean, would it really be that bad? That is some bullshit. The punishment needs to be stiff.
You
You're
heard
gonna
what
be the shot caller if you went to a woman's prison.
Hey,
well, you heard what he
free
said.
mammograms.
Put some Beretta beard.
Said that he wanted to get implants. Young Thug said if he goes to prison for 25 years, he's going to get breast implants to go to the women's prison.
I saw that.
He just has to identify as transgender, and they'll send him to a woman's prison. They passed that last year. Just identify. Take some Flintstone vitamins for a year, and we'll put you over there with the women. And then he got his cellmate pregnant.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Imagine that.
No,
This shit is crazy.
the woman got the other woman pregnant. Please.
Right.
Yeah, right. We can't assume their gender or nothing, you know.
Well, when you got a bulge, I'm assuming that's a dick. What's wrong with that?
Let's normalize the bulge. Some
That-
women.
That bulge is a large vagina. That is not.
I'm pretty sure you can buy a fake bulge on Amazon at this point.
The Badissi.
Remember, you guys smells like Badussi. You ever see? Remember Crocodile Dundee? That part where he goes to the party and he checks to see if it was a real chick, and he just reached down. That's what it's going to get to. You're going to have to do a package check before you go forward. That's going to be the new handshake, because you don't know what's going on down there. I don't want to get into the room and be staring down the barrel of this thing, so to speak. You got to. I feel bad for people who are going to be dating in 5 or 10 years. My goodness.
Yeah. I'm with you. You know that they this is old news, but they made it to where you could change your birth certificate and you can put you were a woman or a man or whatever. And I'm like,
oh my God.
bro, what?
And
What the fuck, man?
Yeah.
This shit is.
So,
Where are we at? Where the fuck are we at? This shit is crazy, man.
but
Oh,
that's what I said.
if you think about it, if a woman's not a woman and a man's not a man, then that means an adult is not an adult and a child is not a child. Because all this stuff goes back to the children. Because if you're arguing a man being a woman or a woman being a man, then you could argue that a child is an adult or an adult is a child. Like you can make these arguments. It's not based in rationale. It's not based in facts or truth. It's just based on an agenda. So I just feel like children, that they have the right to choose. They're gonna look at kids and say, do you think about it? If a child can be reassigned a gender at 5 years old, what does that mean when they're 10 years old? I want to get married, mom and dad. I want to get married. Get married to who? Oh, Bob. I know he's 46, but I'm attracted to him. I love him. Like, it's crazy. Now, this is where we're headed.
And there are going to be parents who are walking them down the aisle, giving them away as child brides. That's the sick shit. They're going to be parents who are ushered. They're going to be the ones to break the dam on this, and then other parents will follow, and then it becomes normal. Like that's the truth. The ultimate goal is unfettered access to our children. That is sick.
Yeah.
And in California, Anthony Weiner, you know he had a tough time in school with that name. He made it so
And
it's up to a judge's discretion if a man molests a boy. If they are within 10 years of age, it is up to the judge's discretion whether or not this man has to register as a sex offender, as long as it's within 10 years. So if he's 27 and the boy's 17, then the judge can say whether or not that man should have to register as a sex offender. The boy's 13 and the man's 23, well, we'll see. It's up to the judge's discretion. There is no discretion. Are you 18? Are you over 18? Yes. Is he under 18? Yes. You're done. Meet our industrial wood chipper. You're done. You robbed that child of his innocence. You had sex with a minor. You're gone. 100 years ago, if a horse twisted its ankle, you shot that damn thing because it couldn't work anymore. So you're over here fucking with kids? You're broken. We got to put you down. You're no longer allowed in the public pool. You shit in the water. You're out of here. But you're trying to carve out a place in society for these people? You're trying to protect these people? That shit is, man, you want to see a purge you start trying to fuck with people's kids. Because everybody's not going for this. Every parent ain't going for this shit. You gonna show up, Bob, at 46 years old with some roses in your hand and a little handkerchief in here. Is Susie here? What the? Yeah, I'll go get her. Boom! You crazy?
Yep.
But you realize that bullshit? It's only a matter of time.
The pinned comment at the bottom says, they use black people to usher the evil in. Yep. And we kind of went over that on our Pale Horse video, which, by the way, I'm going to edit and put that on Rumble because there's no way they're going to allow that on YouTube. But when in communism, and we went over this with like Karl Marx, for an example, he was a racist amongst all the racists. And he befriended black people to further an agenda. As we've seen like never before, the Democrat Party in a whole, I really don't see Republicans do this at all, but they are trying to befriend black people like no other and victimize us. Oh, we just can't do anything, so we have to prop black people up to the top. And it's like, well, we were never at the bottom in a sense, because there's plenty of black people who have been successful. And I was talking about my grandfather earlier. He was really successful, and he came up at a time where he went through a lot of stuff. His individual personal life dealt with racism and all this, but that never stopped him from being successful. And that's my point, is that they're trying to get you in 2022 to believe you are incapable of being successful because of white supremacy or because of, the Republicans, or it's always this or it's always that with them. And we're here, literally, if you watch these videos of black people speaking, they're like, yo, like when Trump was in there, we had money, we had sustainability, regardless of if they were even not that economically stable, they were doing better than they were before. Now they're trying to convince you that the economy is amazing when we're all literally deciding if we want food or gas for the week. So to that degree, if you pay attention to the propaganda that's being used, I wanted to just capitalize on that comment, is that black people have been used for a long time in that sense. And that's why we are where we are today, because we've been manipulated into voting Democrat, which is the party that's actually doing that to you to begin with. I'm not even saying to vote Republican or whatever, but the point is, if you don't understand your enemy, you don't know who or what you're fighting, period. And your enemy is literally controlling you, telling you, why would you vote Republican when you can vote for us? And it's like, obvious reasons, duh. And right now, we see the midterms coming up. I mean, we are absolutely seeing a red wave like no other, I feel like. But let me tone it down for the communists at Instagram. The bank robbery is definitely going to try to happen. Regardless of all that, we are all aware of what these people are doing and how they're utilizing propaganda. So that's important. Now I wanted to go into the Satanism aspect and Satanic Temple. And this isn't even private. This is not like something you really have to dig for. You can go on Google for this. The Satanic Temple does not hide the fact that they're pro-abortion at all. They're pro-abortion not because they care about rights. They care about ritualistic sacrifices. And I can tell you, I know this from firsthand experience, because I know of somebody who is technically a Satanist. And need I say they're actually a pretty nice person, like on the outside, like I can have a conversation with them, but they're Satanist. Like he's a Satanist. Like he's like completely against God, Jesus, whatever, like what you could think a Satanist is. That's pretty much what he is. And the shit that I see and like hear, and I'm just like, how do these people's minds work? Like, how do you end up becoming this way? And I honestly, I don't know. I don't have an answer to that. But regarding the abortion stuff, they're pissed. They're really pissed at this. And they don't understand it either, because like how we went over the whole federal and state thing, but it's Hitler's done it, Stalin's done it, Lenin's done it. Any of these people you go back in history to have done it. They've used abortion as a tactic to experiment, to ritualistically sacrifice and all this stuff. So Satanism plays a big part, because if you look at the Satanic Temple's organization, they talk about this openly, and they speak on having the ability to be able to, you know, use them for ritual purposes. And it's like, yo, the devil right now, because the devil didn't used to do this, the devil is telling you he's the devil. And people are over here and they don't get it. Like, they're just like, well, I want to choose. Okay, well, the devil wants to choose to eradicate you, period. And like, you're literally siding with people who worship anything that the devil is for, I'm pretty sure you would want to be against. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that would be like common sense. So these people are backing this whole movement that the Democrat Party is pushing. These globalists are pushing. Communist China, if you look at some of the stuff there where they have like baby soup where they put like parts and they I'm not even going to it. Just look this shit up if you want to know about it. But it's real. It's not a joke. And the shit that they do with all of this, it is satanic. And anyone who knows, I forgot his first name. It's like literally leaving my head right now. But his last name is Aquino, and he's a well-known Satanist who rose in the ranks of like the military.
Are you saying Anton LaVey? Wasn't he in the military?
No, not LaVey. This is Aquino. I forgot his first name, but he has eyebrows that look like a vampire or like a devil.
Looks like a Satanist.
Yeah, he is, and he's so openly a Satanist. And you gotta wonder, why would they let somebody like this even be in these ranks of like this amount of power? And he openly is telling you, like, he's talking about sacrificing children, doing rituals and all this stuff. And I'm like, all this shit boils back to the abortion stuff, because that is a ritualistic occurrence among Satanists. So if you look at to how they've tried to legalize everything, how they're trying to legalize pedophilia and all this with this gay and trans movement, it's like, dude, none of us on this panel and none of us watching can legitimately say that we hate gays. I'm sure a lot of us probably have gay friends. The gay friends that I have are against this bullshit, by the way. They don't support none of that. They're just like, dude, I'm gay, let me be. You know, I don't need to go and do all this rainbow shit and have parades and all that. And I'm like, and I respect that shit, because it's like, yo, that's your personal life. Who cares? But the way that they're doing it, we have to understand what propaganda is, which is why Layla's here, because she knows. Propaganda is used in that way to usher in an agenda or to usher in some type of lifestyle.
But just to make the point that the federal government is inept, incapable, incompetent, yet you have a large portion of our population that says, no, give them more. Give them more of our life. Let them have more control over our life. They don't live like we live. That's like us trying to tell somebody in another country how to go about their day. They don't have what we have. They don't live in our lives. They live these fantasy lives with no consequence and endless budgets. They don't live like regular people. So how are they going to tell us how to live, how to raise our kids? Look at Biden's kids. Hunter Biden and his daughter, Ashley, they just found her diary. She's talking about how somebody touched her and she remembers showering with her daddy. So their kids are all fucked up, but they're going to tell us how to raise our kids. I don't think so. Federal government, everything they should do should fit on a Post-it. Anything more than that needs to come back to us, just like this. And people might say, well, it's kind of hypocritical to be for the Supreme Court shooting down New York's concealed carry laws, because that was a state decision, and then supporting RoeVWade giving the power back to the state. Well, that's part of what the Supreme Court is supposed to do. When the states fuck it up, like making you have to jump off of these hoops to enjoy your Second Amendment rights, that's when the Supreme Court comes in and says, no, this is what the Constitution says. And in cases where Supreme Court's been given too much power, like Roe v. Wade, they're supposed to come in and say, no, here, back to the states. Why would you be opposed to getting more sway over your life? Why would you be so opposed to more responsibility? That's the problem.
I just think that we're doomed.
I like that.
Yeah, because you got to think, man, people are just getting dumber by the day. They have less character. People, it's just, nobody cares. It's just funny to me how people were so energized and excited when it came time for Trump to get out of office. Because when Biden's been in office, everybody's been quiet, hiding. No, people telling me they hate politics now. Nobody wants to talk about it. It's just like there's a bunch of cowards, man. So I don't know. I don't see it getting any better unless something drastic happens. China buying up farmland, Bill Gates buying up farmland, want us to eat fake meat, cows dying, people screaming let's abort. It's just too much going on, man. Almost forcing us to be like Mad Max or Book of Eli, just, pack our stuff up, get a shotgun and a machete and just like, that's what they're pushing us to, because there's no reason with people, like I said before, you can't rationalize with them. If people, one guy, he was so excited, and this is a guy that said CNN is his favorite show. So this guy runs up to me in the gym and tells me that the swimmer that won the NCAAs is not able to compete in the Olympics.
Moby Dick.
Yes. so he tells me, see, I told you they wasn't going to do it. And then I said, did you actually read the article? So basically the article says, if you've taken hormones since you're 12 years old, you can compete in the Olympics. I said, all this is to get these drugs in these children earlier. I said, it's not a win. I said, you got to actually read the articles and not just the headlines. And you would have thought I told him he was going to die or something, because he was looking at me like a deer. He was just looking at me stuck like, you got to read the articles to see what it's all about. And he was just like, dang. So then we leave in the gym, and he's upset because I wasn't excited that he went and looked up and found an article. I said, stuck. I said, all you do is grab a headline, and I said, that article's terrible. Anyway, I just think it's over. I think the best thing for us to do is just to have our own communities, stay out the way, separate from these people every now and then, knock a few heads off just to let them know we're still around. We'll still do it. And, just try to live out our days as peaceful as possible, and then let them feed off of themselves. Because trust me, all the stuff they're doing, they're going to feed off of each other. I know these people. They just, once the trans rise above all the gays and the bis and the pans and all them, once the trans rise up, they're going to be fighting. Once the women that want to get married start going against women that are married, they start eating off each other. They start feeding. And meanwhile, we'll just be sitting back with popcorn, watching them go crazy. So I'll just wait for the show. That's all. I'm waiting for the show.
I agree with Blanche, to be honest, man. After I had that conversation that I went over with you guys in the beginning, I was like, we're doomed. Like, we're not. You can't wake people up that they don't want to be woken up. They're done, man. A lot of these people are done. And if you waste a lot of your time and energy trying to do that, then you're actually putting yourself to sleep. So it's important to really focus on you and yours and the people. And I don't ever use that term like-minded. That reminds me of hive-minded. But people that think, like, that's what I told that person. I said, I don't want you to think like me at all. It's not going to happen. It's not going to be possible. I want you to think. I don't want you to regurgitate the television. I want you to think for yourself. And a lot of these people can't do it. So in that terms, yeah, it's like, be with your own people who understand spiritually, who understand morally, fundamentally, like that, what is right and what is wrong. And that's something that's being, misconstrued these days right now. They're trying to make wrong right, right wrong. They're removing God and teaching the devil. And it's insane, bro. Like, those people they're lost causes. But Layla, I'll pass it over to you.
Oh, yeah. No, I think I definitely agree with everybody in the sense that we have to have our own parallel, like reality, society, when you're dealing with totalitarianism, and you just have to break off. You can't, these people are mentally ill, like, at the end of the day. That's all they are. They're severely mentally ill. I believe also, and I was thinking about it, they just need to get enough people off this planet, so whatever is trying to come in, like whatever consciousness, like aliens or whoever it is that they have waiting in the wings, who are trying to get in here, they need to lower the vibration enough so they can start coming in and go to the movies and shit instead of being bombarded with our, like, energetic frequency. because our frequency, for whatever reason, it is too polarizing. They can't exist with it. So,
True.
so it is what it is. You know, it's a good and bad. This is the destruction, and we have to rebuild. And without this, none of us would have taken action. Like, majority of us wouldn't have taken action. So it's a good thing that we have pressure. And we're gonna, like I said, we're gonna create our own timeline. We're gonna live our lives, and they're going to continue, as Blanche said, feasting on themselves. Because the left, they never stop. It can never stop. They have to keep going, keep destroying. There's never a resolution. They never hit the end. It has to always keep going. So we'll keep moving, and we have to stay ready, because when these people get their snacks taken away and they start eating these bugs and this like synthetic meat that they improved, you know, they're gonna really lose it. That's when the zombies will come out, because whatever their genetic engineering they've gone through and the synthetic foods, you'll definitely start to see some zombies for real. Like, there are already there.
I remember the CDC had put out that, I don't know if it was an article or something, talking about what to do or something in a zombie outbreak. And then some people laugh or like, you know, that's funny because it's in the movies and the TV shows. And I'm there thinking, you really don't think that zombies exist? I'm like, think of the concept. People whose brains are dead.
They already talk
It's
about
literally that simple.
long COVID causes brain fog and things like that. They already say that. So there's neurological, physical, whatever is coming, but they're not going to be functioning properly.
A few years back, they were chewing on people's faces and shit down there.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
What do they call it? Bath salts?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Basically, they're going to turn us good folk, whether you left or right, Democrat, Republican, all the good people in America, they're going to turn us into Malcolm X. Remember that? When he had his M1 carbine and he was peeping out the window. When the zombies are out in the street, wilding out during feeding time, we need to be in our house, armed, looking out the window. You keep all that bullshit out there, but if you step on this property, there's going to be a problem. That's what we're going to have to do, because those people are absolutely, completely lost. We all talk to them in the comment section. You can't believe some of the shit people say. Those people are lost. They're gone. We just need to worry about our own and shake busters.
Yeah, I agree 100%, man. And the more that, and I don't I don't look to have conversations with these people. It's just that you find out how they think when they open their mouth, and you just are like, wow, you were so much better when you didn't talk, you know? That's how a lot of the interactions with me have gotten, where it was like, you were an okay person until you started speaking or posting shit, and it just made me realize how dumb you actually are, which is sad, because like one of the things I mentioned is my dad's a federal officer. So like I know firsthand also when it comes to law enforcement and all of that. And some of these people, right, will talk about the police and, we need police reform. And it's like, the police reform that you're talking about is not the police reform that you want, which is not the police reform that they're going to give you. They're going to federalize the police and have a police state like Hitler and all of these other dictators have had. You're too dumb to understand that, because you're going off of your emotions by watching TV and looking at the George Floyd shit, which that motherfucker got 3 funerals with a gold casket. Why would that happen? Because propaganda.
And $25 million. It's actually a blessing that he died.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I said, man. His family didn't give a shit about him. They treated him like the dope fiend that he was. They were mad when he came around. Nobody wanted shit to do with them. But when he kicked the bucket, they were probably a little bit happy. And they got that money. Yeah. They don't even remember George Floyd. They be trotting his daughter out there and shit. You didn't care. Nobody cares about the dope fiends in their family. You're sick of them. They burned their bridge. They stole from you. They're pieces of shit. They were the same way, acting like they care about him. You care about that damn payday you got, man.
Hell yeah. And you know what else too is when I was having that conversation with that person, she was like, oh, what if I said, you know, fuck George Floyd and fuck Black Lives Matter and fuck, and I was thinking I'd be happy if you said that because it's all fraudulent, number one. But I was like, number two, like, I don't give a shit how you feel. It's not about how you feel. I'm like, you can feel however you want to feel, but I care about the truth and facts. And if we're going to talk about just going off of those two, the truth is exactly what you just said. George Floyd was not a good person. Number two, Black Lives Matter is a fraudulent organization that's not even ran by like black people. It's like funded by George Soros, and who is a globalist, communist, socialist. Like, bro, I don't care if you said those things. I care about the truth. That's it. That's all I care about. I don't care about how you feel or, you know, well, I just feel like cops are mean. And it's like, okay, well, let me tell you something about my father real quick. My dad told me that there's two things. There's a letter of the law and there's spirit of the law. Letter of the law is when you, let's say you park in in the red and you're not supposed to park there. Okay. Right now, a cop could tell you, hey, just so you know, you parked illegally. You know, I'm just going to let you know, like, don't do it again. That's spirit of the law. Okay. Letter of the law is you park there and I'm going to give you a ticket. And he said, you're going to go a long way using spirit of the law than letter of the law, because in spirit of the law, you get respected more. Okay. Now, there's not probably a lot of police officers who utilize spirit of the law because they feel like they have this authority. And as soon as you do something, they can get you for it. But he doesn't operate like that. He likes to give people to put off the image that not everybody's a fucking asshole, basically. And not enough people probably see that with police because they look at TV or any other propaganda that gets pushed. So this is something that's important because every day you're representing yourself, and to some degree you're representing others. So every day I wake up a melanated human being. Okay, so I'm not just representing myself, but I'm also representing black people. If I go out there and start robbing and killing people, then that becomes a statistic as a black person that you're just another black person committing crime and causing trouble. So it's like, if you have this self-awareness of not just yourself, but of your representation, and you go about life a certain way, a positive way, then that gives a better outlook to everything. But we don't probably have enough people who understand that. So you have all these people who hate the police and they think that they're all racist and all this other bullshit. They think every politician's corrupt. That's not true, you know, so on and so forth. But I think it's important that when we see things in that way and we also present ourselves in this way, that we become, it's going to sound cliche, but like a beacon of light to others, because how you represent yourself is also how you represent the others as well as in your community. So for an example, as my dad, as a cop, he's not only representing himself as a black man, but also as a cop, as a federal officer. So I hope that made sense to people, but like, that's an important thing, I think, to look at.
Yep, 100%.
Yeah. I would venture to say that there's like over 60-some million police interactions a year in America. So I'll venture to say that most police interactions don't even involve a ticket. They involve the police talking to someone. So it's just a myth and notion that police are out there terrorizing citizens. It's just not true. Because you think about it, you probably see at least 100 police officers a day and you don't even get bothered. So there's not even enough interaction with the police to even justify any of the stuff they're even talking about. So it's all propaganda. Without the police, just imagine how the world is now, and then take away law enforcement. Just magnify it by 1,000. If there's no police out in the streets, people are walking through the house and cut your head. Why are we acting like the police are bad when as soon as something happens, y'all crying for the police? Think about it. The baby mamas, I'm going to call the police. Snitches, I'm going to work with the police. Everybody hates the cops, but everybody's working with the police. It's BS. Everybody's running to the police. And then when the police don't do anything, when the police say, you know what, I'm going to let y'all handle it, now they're not doing their job. So to me, it's a lose-lose situation with the police. I don't buy any of the narratives. Most police officers do their job. Like everybody else, most mailmen and mailwomen deliver the mail. Most janitors clean up. Like most people do their job. That's how society is running and functioning this way. So most cops do their job. Maybe a small percentage doesn't, but for the most part, that's with any kind of arena. You can go to a restaurant. Probably 3% of restaurant workers spit in the food. 97 don't. Probably 3% of police officers are bad. 97 aren't. Probably 3% of janitors don't give a damn and don't clean nothing up. 97% do. So it's just like, to me, society is so sensitive and ridiculous. Without the police, it would be the purge every single day times 1,000. 1,000. I mean, imagine criminals knowing the cops are never coming around. So that means when you come home with groceries, you bought groceries for the block. When you come home with a new car, you got a new car for the block. So this police notion is ridiculous.
You know what? I'm gonna tell a quick story, and I'm gonna get out of here. But to echo that point, all the shit we hear from what I call the mainstream mediocres, it doesn't match with our experience. Because one time, when I was a young man, I was in my early 20s. I was riding dirty. I didn't have current tags. My tags were expired. So I got pulled over. The table is set for me to get shot, according to them. I get pulled over by 2 white cops, a male and a female. I got weed on me, and I got bad tags. And just for a little cherry on top, the road that I pulled over on was called Blackie Road. It's over, right? Drugs, tags, Blackie Road, white cops. It's over. So they pulled me over. You know why we pulled you over? Said, yeah, my tags are bad. They said, we smell weed in the car. We're going to have to search it. We're going to have to ask you to get out. We're going to place you under arrest. They put the cuffs on me. All right. They put the cuffs on me and sat me in the back seat. I said, to save your time and you messing up my car, the weed is right in there. They said, thank you very much. They took the weed out. They take me out of the car. They take the cuffs off of me. He asked me, he says, you want to tell me where you got it? I said, hell no, I'm not telling you where I got it. He said, all right. He dumps it out on the ground. He said, go ahead and step on it. So I stepped on it a little bit. I planned to come back and get it. He goes, no, step on it. So I ground that $50 in the dust. But he gave me a warning. Hey, get those tags taken care of. No problem. You guys be safe. Thank you very much. Here I am today. The table was set. I had I think I was speeding. That's what really got their attention. So I had 2 infractions off the bat. I'm young. I'm black. This is it. I'm the perfect target. LeBron said they're targeting me. So this was it. Nothing. I showed them respect. They showed me respect. They didn't give me a ticket. No attitude. No nothing. Because I was cool. So the moral of the story is, if you act with respect, you're going to get treated with respect. You want to get all loud and mouthy. Remember that skit on the Chris Rock show where his homeboy was with him? Oh, fuck the police. I ain't giving you shit. See? That's where we run into a problem. And these places, the Mike Browns, the George Floyds and stuff like that, these high-profile cases, in most cases, if not all of them, the police departments were predominantly black, on down, chief, commissioner, commander, sergeant. These are all black folks. So where's the racism? It's how you act. Don't act like a jackass. You don't get treated like a jackass. Simple and plain. Like I said, guys, I got to go. I got kids to feed. But I appreciate you guys having me. Thank you very much. Layla, something you said last time I was on a live with you that I think about to this day. When you said that when we're dealing with people on the left and the crazies, you can't treat them as equals. They're not. They're dum-dums. And every time I read some stupid-ass comment, that pops into my mind. I can't help you. I can't treat you like we're on the same wavelength because we're not. Right. I'm up here. You way the fuck down there. So thank you guys. I enjoyed myself. Have me back soon, please.
Hey, Jericho.
You've seen the movie 300, right?
Yeah.
Remember the guy that, and honestly, this reminds me of today's time. So 300, the soldiers basically trained their whole lives to be for that moment. They trained to be soldiers. They trained to defend Greece. Like that was their mission and goal in life, was to defend, to fight and defend against tyranny. The one guy, his father was a soldier, but he was born disfigured. He, this little arm was weak. He's built like a little fiddler crab. One arm was big, one arm was small. But Leonidas was like, lift your shield up. And he couldn't do it. And he told him, if we put you on the front lines, you're going to cost us the war, because they'll get through you. So what you can do, though, is you can make yourself useful, and you can clear the field of the dead. So the guy, who obviously was handicapped, hunchback, ugly, he was everything. This dude felt so entitled because his family had told him that he was going to be a soldier, he was going to be a Spartan. And then when reality hit and he wasn't, he did not only say, I wasn't going to pick up the dead, I'm also going to go work with the enemy, and I'm also going to sabotage it. So what I'm saying with these people is, they're not just going to be against us, they're going to try to sabotage us. Like, these because once they hit reality and they see they're not worthy, they don't deserve this, life is about giving and taking, life's about what you put in, you get all that stuff. Once that settles in them, they become resentful, and then they go, and the next scene you saw that guy, he had the little dunce cap on. I don't remember the movie, but he had like the little stupid dunce hat on with a little outfit, and he's just sitting there with all these women kissing on him. He just so excited. That's how the left does. They make everybody feel so good. You're special, you're wonderful, we got you, you're oppressed, but we're going to take care. Like, it makes them feel all good. Meanwhile, they're destroying the whole world in the process. So I feel like we're like those soldiers in 300, and these people are that little fiddler crab man that couldn't lift his shield up. And at the end of the day, what purpose does he serve? What purpose are they going to serve but to bring destruction? That's all they're going to do. So I just feel like we got to hold the line, and hopefully our fight will save this future generations a little bit. I guess, some of these kids might be saved. Maybe some of these folks might change their mind. But honestly, I don't really care anymore, because I'm like, I just got to get around like-minded people and make something happen. So if these folks get it, they get it. They don't, they don't. But we got to be strong enough to deal with these people, because trust me, they're going to go to the dark side. And when they go to the dark side, it's not going to be pretty. They're going to be snitching, calling, giving out GPSs. I saw Layla over there talking about she's propaganda fluent. She's speaking like they're going to do all that. I saw GION. He wasn't wearing this. He didn't have his patch on. I'm just saying this is what they're going to do. So they're going to want the brownie points from the system. That's why we really got to separate from these folks, or be in a position where they can't influence our lives that much. But I just feel like we the 300 soldiers, and everybody else is the little fiddler crab man.
No, that was a great point too. That was a great point. And I haven't seen that movie in a while, but I remember all of that. And just when you visualize it, you're just like, you remember like, yeah, that's absolutely the case. And it's not even that Leonidas wasn't trying to like help the dude. He just told him like, you can't do anything for us in this way, and that's what we're trying to tell them. Like, look, if you're not awake, you can't do anything for us. You're actually working for the enemy and you don't even know it. And it was the same thing with him. Like, having that weak ass arm, like, bro, you are going to cause us to have an issue in this war. And it's the same thing with him. By you not being informed, you're causing an issue of us in the war that we're in, the war on information and all that. I'm trying to inform you. I'm trying to help you. This person got up and got like mad and got angry because, and I'm sitting there having a calm conversation. I'm just like, yo, like, you just can't talk to these people. So it reminded me of that. That was a good point.
Just see things like continue to unravel, because, know that men, this whole jab that they got, like, reduce their testosterone, and it's doing a lot. The hormones, again, these people all look like 50-year-old postmenopausal women. Like, I don't know why. Like, that's the trend now. Like, it's really bad. So they're going to keep unraveling. We just have to keep building that parallel economy, like, stay in your superiority. I always think of this Alan Watts quote. He's like was talking about, Alan Watts is like a Zen master, a theologian person or whatever from the 70s. And he was talking about, like, British nobility, they don't worry about when you have something to say. They don't care about what you have to say, because they already know who they are. They're nobility. Like, they're secure with who they are. And that's what we need to do too. We need to be secure. We can't be spending our psychic energy and like emptying ourselves into this madness. Like, there is a finite amount of mental energy you can put into all of this. And another good side of this whole like situation is we're actually going to start really participating in reality, like in all the aspects of reality, which include the quantum realm, which include the mental realm, you know, all of these realms that we don't have language for, we don't talk about, you know, we only talk about, okay, you can pray, and that's about it. Like, and we don't even really expand on what that involves and what that is. Like, we have very like childish level, you know, acknowledgement of what material reality is and what the, you know, non-physical reality is. So that's good that we're moving into that, and we need to cultivate and protect our energy and really direct this, because we are fighting demons, literally. They want to come here, they want to go to the movies, they want to be able to go to the mall, they want to be able to like hang out and do things and go to the Pride Parade too. And they need the bodies, they need the cavities, the empty spaces, they need it. They're coming, or they're coming in these robots, whatever, somebody's programming it, like something's interacting with it in the non-physical realm. So we have to really acknowledge that it's really happening. But we'll get there. The few chosen will get there.
Yeah, that not everybody is meant to wake up. Like, that's just not their path. It's not what they're here to do. But
Right.
the ones who are here, you know, who like us, we literally are the chosen ones. You know what I mean? That's not to really prop us up and make us sound like we're better than everybody, but it's the truth. It's just like, we've always been those people who've asked questions. We've always been those people who've done research. We're not dummies. You know, we're not easily brainwashed. That's never been me. And I'm sure that's never been any of us on here. But I just thought that was important to say, is that there are these ones here who are meant to do this. And then there's those ones that just were not put here to be people who speak up or people who wake up at all.
Yeah, we need to play that role. We need to become the superior nobility of the planet, of the human race. We need to fully embody that role. I take it as a great insult that they are going to be on TV telling me I'm going to eat bugs and own nothing. That's like, no. How dare you say that to me? How
Right.
I just can't accept that. So I know it seems crazy. Oh, what, you're wasting your time speaking. You're wasting your time not wearing a mask, all this, yada, yada. But it's like, no, because I have dignity. I have self-respect. And at the end of the day, we are not living that. If just 10% of us, 10% of the woke people actually lived, or not the woke, but you know, the chosen few who are aware, actually lived as leaders, they wouldn't even be able to do any of this shit. Like,
Right.
They really wouldn't. It doesn't take that many. They operate on such a low vibrational frequency that they wouldn't be able to counter what we bring, because we bring that force that Satan envies. And that's what we need to do it. So let's keep going. Don't worry about everybody else. You're better than them.
Yeah. Yeah, and as unfortunate, I guess it is to, you know, because it could be family members and all that are just too far gone, but it's like, it is what it is. This is not what they're here for.
Yeah.
So thank you guys too for coming on last minute, and Jericho, who already is gone. I know it was last minute, but with all the shit that came out today, I thought it was important to hop on the topic as soon as possible.
All right. Thank you. Love you all.